Imagine being told that death is the answer to everything. That's what Japan's most fearsome warriors believed. This ancient samurai code still influences millions, even today in the 21st century. It is a secret playbook that has transformed ordinary people into living legends. The Bushido isn't just about honor and swords. It's about a mindset so powerful that it has transformed farmers into some of the deadliest warriors in history. You'll soon understand exactly how they did it, including a shocking truth about samurai training that historians have kept hidden for centuries. The year was 1716, in a small Buddhist temple in Saga Province, Japan. A former samurai named Yamamoto Tsunetomo was sharing the most guarded secrets of Japan's warrior class. His words would become the Hagakure, which means hidden by leaves. The incredible part is that these teachings were supposed to die with him. He specifically ordered his student Tashiro Tsurumoto to destroy everything after hearing it. Thankfully for us, Tashiro had other plans. To understand why these teachings were so important, we need to go back to Japan's Edo period. The country was experiencing its longest period of peace in history. The samurai, once fearsome warriors, were becoming government officials. Their swords were turning into symbols instead of weapons. This transformation threatened the very essence of Bushido, the way of the warrior. The Hagakure's most famous line states, "The way of the samurai is found in death." But this wasn't about dying. It was about something far more profound. In fact, Yamamoto tells us precisely what he meant. A warrior thinks of death constantly, morning and evening, and thus becomes unattached to life and death. By doing so, they are free to live fully and serve their lord loyally. Let me show you what the Bushido really meant, using Yamamoto's actual words and real historical examples that most people have never heard. Take the story of Lord Naoshige, whom Yamamoto served directly. During a crucial battle, Naoshige was asked about the most important quality of a warrior. Everyone expected him to say swordsmanship or bravery. Instead, he said, the resolution of death. When confronted with two options, seize the one which leads to death. Don't think about winning. Don't think about surviving. Just charge ahead. The next day, Naoshige demonstrated what he meant. When his troops were hesitating to cross a dangerous river, he dismounted his horse and walked straight into the water. His exact words were, "Here I go. Either follow me or watch me die." The entire army followed. The Hagakure teaches 7 core virtues, but not in the simplified way most modern books describe them. Let me show you what these really meant. Gi, righteousness. Yamamoto writes, "To practice righteousness is to be constantly prepared to die." He tells a story about a samurai named Shigetake, who discovered his lord was plotting something unjust. Instead of staying quiet, Shigetake confronted his lord directly, saying, "This action will harm your legacy and your people." He knew this could cost him his life, but righteousness demanded speaking up. Amazingly, his lord listened and changed course. Courage. The Hagakure states, "When you're afraid, keep doing what scares you 70 or 80 times. Then you'll find you're no longer afraid." Yamamoto shares a story about a young samurai who was terrified of the dark. His solution was to spend every night for a year walking through the castle's darkest corridors, armed only with a short knife. By the end, he became one of the castle's most trusted night guards. Jin. Benevolence. This is where the Hagakure gets really fascinating. Yamamoto writes, "If you are only a warrior, you are not a complete person." He insisted that samurai study poetry, flower arrangement, and philosophy. This wasn't just a hobby. The Hagakure tells us about a samurai named Katsushige who wrote poetry during battles. When asked why, he said, "To keep my mind clear." A warrior who only knows violence is like a sword that only knows cutting. Eventually, it breaks. Respect. The Hagakure says something incredible about respect. Treat everyone as if they were an honored guest in your home. There's this amazing story about Lord Mitsushige, who once stopped his entire procession to help an elderly farmer clear rocks from his field. His advisors protested, saying it was beneath his dignity. Mitsushige's response: "If we don't respect those who grow our food, what right do we have to eat?" Makoto, sincerity. The Hagakure tells us, when speaking to others, you should look them in the eye. When listening, you should focus entirely on their words. Yamamoto shares a story about a samurai who admitted to losing an important battle plan, knowing it might cost him his position. His lord was so moved by this honesty that he promoted him instead, saying, "A man who admits his mistakes will never hide the truth." Meiyo, honor, but not the kind of honor you're thinking of. The Hagakure says, true honor isn't about reputation. It's about what you do when no one is watching. There's this incredible story about a samurai named Yagyu who caught himself about to tell a small lie when alone. He immediately performed ritual penance, saying, "The first person you must be honorable to is yourself." Chugi, loyalty. Now this one will blow your mind. The Hagakure actually says that blind loyalty is dangerous. Instead, it teaches true loyalty means having the courage to correct your lord's mistakes. Yamamoto tells us about a samurai who disagreed with his lord in front of the entire court. When asked if he was being disloyal, he said, "If I let my lord make this mistake without speaking up, that would be the greatest disloyalty." All these principles came together in what might be the most famous event in samurai history, the revenge of the 47 Ronin. On the snowy night of December 14th, 1702, these masterless samurai finally acted after 2 years of careful planning. But here's what most people don't know. Before attacking, they sent a letter to the neighboring houses apologizing for the disturbance they were about to cause. Even in revenge, they followed the code. The leader of the 47 Ronin, Oishi Yoshio, left a letter explaining their actions. He wrote, "We are not doing this for fame or glory. We do this because there is no other way to live as true samurai." After completing their mission, they turned themselves in, knowing they would be ordered to commit seppuku. Why? Because true Bushido meant following both their duty to their lord and their duty to the law. These principles didn't die with the samurai, they evolved. When a Japanese CEO takes a public bow of apology for their company's mistakes, that's Bushido. When Japanese workers stay late to perfect every detail of their work, that's Bushido. The famous Japanese attention to quality and service, that comes directly from these 7 virtues. Look at the Japanese bullet train system. The average delay is less than 1 minute. The cleaning crews bow to the empty cars before beginning their work. This isn't just culture, it's Bushido in action. Centuries after the last samurai hung up their swords. What Yamamoto and the samurai understood wasn't just a way of fighting, it was a way of living with absolute clarity. When they talked about finding the way of the warrior in death, they weren't talking about dying. They were talking about living so completely that you're not afraid of anything, including death. The Hagakure ends with these words: "The way of the samurai is not a path separate from the world. It is a way of living fully in every moment, ready for whatever comes." In our modern world of endless distractions and half-commitments, maybe that's exactly what we need to remember. Subscribe for more hidden histories that shaped our world.